Audio is recording. Video is recording. Syncing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Hey everybody, this is Cody Knight 22 here, and today I'm coming at you with episode number 7 of Cody Talks Fanfiction. I do want to lead off this video with 3 things. The first thing is an apology for not releasing a video last week. I was in Boston, as some of you may know, getting medically evaluated, and I'm into the program, so that will mean a 2 to 4 week hiatus for me after a little bit. And that hiatus will not come yet. No need to fear. Underdog is here. And so I will be here for a little bit longer. The second thing is apologies for this coming out on Wednesday. I have made the decision to move this series to Wednesday because I have a video that comes out on Monday for my channel, Mix It Up Monday. I have a video that comes out Tuesday for XP Hoarder's YouTube channel, Team Black Screen Plays, and then I would also have this on the same day. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the penis from my ass, and I'm going to put this video on Wednesdays instead. Also, it's just going to be more convenient for me from an editing standpoint. I don't care if this causes any inconveniences for you. You can watch the video later. So, what's this week's theme? To Cody talk. Oh, wait, sorry. 3 things, right? I also would like to say I love Windows automatic updates because, you know, I totally didn't just lose 2 stories worth of talkings in this recording. Oh man, it's so great. It's just beautiful. It's just absolutely beautiful. Fuck you, Windows. Hashtag Apple life. So let's not waste any more time. I'm just gonna jump right into it. The theme for this week is going to be strong starts. So the strong starts is basically just part 1 of a series. All 3 of these stories are complete. I have read 1 of the 3 sequels, even though all 3 of them are out. Melting Vale, spoiler alert, Snowy Vale is one of the stories. So, but let's just dive right into it. I think there's really no other theme other than that these are part 1 to a series. So the first story is going to be Bloodstained Chessboard by GateMasterGreen. Here is the summary. Ruby Rose harbors feelings for her teammates, Blake Belladonna and Weiss Shani, but her sister figures it out. 2 letters later, and suddenly romance all around. RXWXB, LXN, YXP, JXV, JXV, OXG. That's actually a fairly good summary. That's actually a good summary. It saves me some of the troubles. Trouble that knows since the day it was born. All right, my apologies. So that, like I said, that actually did a pretty good job. I can't remember what I was going to do. That actually did a pretty good job at summarizing the events that took place at the beginning of this story. Basically, Ruby realized that she loves both Weiss and Blake. She believes that she cannot have them both, so she feels bad. She feels as though, she feels as though she has to pick between them. Yang is not quite so on her sister's side. Yang takes 2 poems that she finds within Ruby's diary, dear diary, and she hands them out to Weiss and Blake. And now these poems center around said girls. So basically, I'm just gonna do this. So then, oh fuck, damn it. Shit. My bad. I'm just an idiot. And so from there, Yang is, and so then everything all works out well. It becomes a love triangle of sorts where it is Weiss, Blake, and Ruby. And it was, I'll go into this later. Or love triangle of sorts between Weiss, Blake, and Ruby. And then Ruby wants to kind of take vengeance against Yang for what she had done, which is kind of a dick move. And so what she does is that she makes Yang go and kiss Pyrrha because Yang loves Pyrrha. Then they get together, and then Nora and Ren are already together. And then John and Velvet get together as well. Osmond and Glinda Goodwitch, which is what OXG means, by the way. Then from there, those 2, the story kind of takes off from there. So what are some pros and cons to the story? Well, pro to this is that it didn't become what I expected it to become. In all honesty, at first, it was one of the earlier non-one-shot stories that I had read. This came right around the same time as Downfall, actually. So I definitely am very happy with how the story turned out, but I assumed, in all honesty, that this would become like a smut fest, Yuri smut fest, or just smut fest in general, because I guess it's not all Yuri. And it didn't, and I'm very, very pleased that it did not just kind of turn into that. If it had turned into it, I would have been pretty disappointed. I probably would have stopped reading, but it didn't. The lemons were well spaced out, I think. I know that there are probably a fair amount of people that disagree with me, but I think that they were well spaced out. And I think that I'm gonna kill this fucking sheep because it's starting to annoy me. And then I also believe that when the lemons did occur, they were well written. Which is a big issue in the fan fiction community, of lemons being poorly written, of just bad smutty lemon one shots and them getting attention. Or I guess bad smut one shots. I think that it is an issue that is around a lot, and it's kind of disappointing to me because there are good lemon stories out there, but I think that we use too much sometimes. I think that the story, like I said, it sounds like it would become a total smutfest, but it didn't. It was actually had some plot to it, which was pleasantly surprising to say the least. I definitely made an assumption that it would kind of become one, and eventually I would drop it, but it didn't, and it stayed decent. Wait, I mean decent like. Okay, sorry. It had plot to it. There we go. That's better. That's a better way to phrase it because it was a really good story. And I think that the way that the plot was I thought that the plot line was good. I definitely liked the inclusions that he made with some of the original characters, such as Tyson was one of them. Tyson's actually the only one whose name I can remember right now. And I like the little thing there where Tyson and him had identical speech patterns. I thought it was a cute little thing. And I think that I definitely have to give credit to him for introducing the plot well, where the transition was rough initially, I'll be honest but I think that once it kind of eased into it a little bit more, I think it worked out well. So definitely a big props to GateMasterGreen for that one. But moving on to some cons, I do think that the plot was introduced too suddenly. I think that there is that it could have been done better, it could have been done a little bit less sudden. I think that a little bit of time into the plot, like kind of easing us in, would have been nicer and a little bit easier to read. It wasn't so sudden that it made it completely unreadable. Like, it wasn't like, I don't know what's going on anymore, I can't read this story. It was more just kind of like, alrighty, I just need to give me 2 or 4 chapters to figure out. It only took like 2 chapters to adjust, but I think that sorry, I think that another con to the story, and this is kind of a weird thing to say, I think that there was one point in the story where it was where there was like a plot twist that was involved with Weiss, and it kind of involved Summer Rose's spirit, and you didn't really understand, how do I phrase this, and it was kind of confusing, and it played more of a favorite in that trio, in that love trio that I actually really liked. It kind of showed more like a playing of a favorite towards Weiss, and I didn't actually like that because I thought that it could have been done better. That being said, the plot twist in and of itself was done in a way that was made believable, so it wasn't like, the fuck. I mean, it was kind of like, oh, this is kind of cool. So that's kind of like mixed feelings on that one, so I don't really know whether or not to count it as a pro or a con. A pro that I forgot to mention is that I think that the unique pairings in this one, very, very unique pairings, were handled well. That's not something that happens often. I think that there are a lot of times that people, I think that sometimes people, sorry, just in case anybody was wondering, I kind of started dying, just had a coughing fit. I think that there are often times where a unique pairing can go wrong or it can just be there for fucksies, but all of the pairings that GateMasterGreen decided to do actually made sense. Yang, I'm not going to be speaking towards, Jesus, I'm sorry, really flatulent today. I think that, or very gassy today. I think that, I can't really comment towards any Velvet pairings, because she is, we just simply don't know enough about her for me to be able to say, oh, I think that this is a smart pairing with her and this isn't. I can't actually do that right now. I just think that we don't know enough about Velvet, as of right now. But definitely, I think that the pairings that I can comment on, they definitely all made sense. I think I did like Yang and Pyrrha. I liked the fact that it was kind of Ladybug, Monochrome, and White Rose. I liked Norin is an OTP anyways. It doesn't, that one's kind of doesn't matter. So definitely was approving of that. So I am apologizing for not mentioning that earlier. I think that the pacing was kind of odd in this story, and not from like the standpoint where it was too fast or too slow, where it varied from being too fast and too slow. Sometimes it was too fast, sometimes it was too slow. It was never hit like a comfortable spot, and I thought that was kind of an odd thing. Although, sorry, I shouldn't say it never hit a comfortable spot. It went when it wasn't in a comfortable spot, which it was more often than not. It was, Jesus. Sorry, my phone kind of just exploded. I can't take no more. I don't know. I have no idea how that song has any relevance to a phone exploding. But I think that you definitely had, in terms of fuck, I lost my train of thought. I think that the pacing became very strange. Was very strange at times. It definitely makes me a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? It was a little bit confusing because I never knew whether or not the pace was too slow or too fast. That's, sometimes it was, though. Sometimes it did hit that kind of comfortable spot when it was like, oh, okay, like this is a very good pace for the story to be at. And it was there more often than not, too. But I think that there were issues like when the where more plot was introduced. I thought that happened a little bit too fast, and sometimes the romance got a little bit too slow. So that is just kind of one. That's just kind of like the major thing there. But overall, very, very solid story. I really, really enjoyed this story. GateMasterGreen, it's actually a really cool guy. I've interacted with him a little bit. Had a nice little PM convo with him. And definitely though. I'd say overall 8 out of 10. I say 8 out of 10 for this story. I recommend it to anybody that wants to read a story. Definitely is a recommendation of mine. So now, moving on. Story numero dos. Snowy Vale by Elfinlied 1012 or 1012, whatever. The first winter in the Vale for Team RWBY has come. However, while tensions have cooled between the two, Weiss struggles to deal with RWBY and how to express herself. Slower style White Rose romance, first of the Vale series. So that's not really very good plot summary of things. Winter has come. Ed Stark was not lying to us. And RWBY is just kind of like going about their business in the wintertime with class and stuff. But Weiss and RWBY RWBY, I think, is the first to realize it, has feelings for Weiss, and she struggles with how to come out and say it. Yang, of course, being Yang, offers her helping hand. Blake's there too to help. And I can't remember if it's Bumblebee or what's the name of can somebody in the audience please help a moron? What's the name of Blake X son? I don't remember. I genuinely don't remember. But anyways, it's like blackened. What is it called? Fuck. All right, now this is gonna really bother me. I can't remember if it is that, if it's Bumblebee or Blake X son. God damn it. I'm getting really annoyed. Just so everybody knows, I'm getting really annoyed at myself that I can't fucking figure this out. Anyways, that's kind of irrelevant though. And then Ruby kind of is like, "Hey, Weiss, I love you. Please don't hate me." And then Weiss and Ruby kiss, and then everything is all nice and stuff, and it's fluff. This is a fluff story. As I said, there's not really much consistency amongst these stories, apart from the fact that they are the start of a series. I've not read part 2, but I will say I felt, and the main reason I have not read part 2 of this series, I've not read Melting Vale, I am very, very satisfied with Snowy Vale. I think that on its own, it is a great, great story. I very thoroughly enjoyed it. Some pros to the story is the fact that it was slower style, but it wasn't so slow that nothing ever happened. I think that everything kind of built up incredibly well, and I am definitely very satisfied with how things took place in this particular story. I am personally very, very big fan of White Rose, as you all may know. And I think that the way that the pairing was handled in this particular case was done well. And I have to say that this is definitely probably is one of my favorite White Rose stories that is out there. I think that the pacing to it was really, really well done. And I am definitely... Yeah, this is my recommendation of the video, is for Snowy Vale. And fuck. And so, what are some cons though to this story? I think that oftentimes, sometimes fluff was struggled with in this story, and by that I mean that the way that things kind of broke down, or when things kind of got a little bit. I apologize for that. I had to take care of some fairly boring building stuff that I did not want to intrude on with the video. And by boring building stuff, I mean counting. And so I definitely think that sometimes it got a little bit too slow. The pace was, most of the time the pace was good, but I think that the pace occasionally did slow down just a little bit too much. I don't have too many issues with it though. I think that it was done well. I think that it was done well. I think that another con to the story is probably the fact that he or she does Weiss a little bit too much at first. Does it like start of show Weiss? You know, I'm not perfect, not yet, but I'm still leagues better than you. I think that cut back and do Weiss a little bit more. Cut back and be more like later on Weiss, you know, come to your teammates and not someone else. Like it needed to be more like that, but it wasn't. It was initially it was very much so kind of start tough love Weiss, and I understand it, but it didn't flow quite right. With how the rest of the story wound up being paced. Let's go this time. So that was just kind of like a weird little thing. Then there aren't really a whole lot of cons to the story. Honestly, this story was done quite well, and fluff in and of itself is sometimes very hard to pick cons for, especially or unless people act really out of character. But yeah, definitely though with definitely would say that this is quite well done. And I really don't have a whole lot of cons for this. I think that there are just like some. It's a great story. I really don't have a con for this story or many cons for this story. I already listed the only two that I had. Whoops. Sorry, my apologies to Elf and Liad. I don't come very prepared. So I give the story 9 out of 10 though. I really loved reading this story. You know, it wasn't like, there are just some stories that are just absolutely amazing and you can't explain why, but and this is one of those stories, but I can't explain to you why it is that it's not, I didn't enjoy it more than what I did. I did binge read the living hell out. Oh, you know what? There's another con. It's harder, for some reason this story is difficult to binge read, is what I noticed. I don't know if it was just me at the time, but it's hard to do it in one sitting. It doesn't grab you enough to where you can do it in one sitting. I don't know why. I genuinely could not tell you why, but whatever. It's still an awesome story. Whether you do it in one sitting or 20, it's a great story. 9 out of 10. So that'll conclude story number 2. Moving on to the final story. And by the way, in case anybody is wondering what particular order I did the story in, I did it in the order of release date. So Bloodstained Chessboard is going way the hell back. Snowy Vale is going pretty far back. So this one's actually fairly recent, especially in comparison to them. And I don't know how much surprise there will be over the story. Ruin, Book 1 of the Rending Trilogy by Kentethalion, I believe is how you say the name. Beacon had always seemed an impenetrable fortress, a light in the dark that couldn't be snuffed. But now, with Vale overrun, their numbers building, and enemies snarling at their gates, the remaining students at Beacon Academy must take a final stand, risking everything to protect their home. Pretty good summary. It's like a war. It's like a war story is kind of how it boils down to, where it starts off in the fight and it kind of continues on. And that's actually a good summary. Roman Torchwick and Glenda Goodwitch and Cinderfall have attacked Beacon Academy, and they're trying to destroy it. The only thing saving Beacon is an aura shield that they are able to throw up, and Team RWBY, and there's no Ozpin, there's no Goodwitch, there's no teachers. So Ruby Rose kind of takes lead, and Juniper is there as well. I mean, just Cardinal's there. Member of Cardinal dies initially, and I can't remember who it is. I want to say it's Dove. It's Dove Bronzewing, I think. Don't hate me, Kentethalion. I don't remember who dies. I generally have no idea who dies. So yeah, they are. I don't really know. I really don't know. I'm trying to think of a way to summarize this thing. They're attacking Beacon with Grim and people. Or they're attacking Pecan. They're attacking Pecan. They're attacking Pecan Pie. They're attacking Beacon with Grim and people. Or they're attacking Beacon with Grim, and they're attacking the city with people. I really have no other ways to explain this. This is a story that's pretty difficult to explain without spoiling it. So what are some pros to this story? Combat. There definitely is quite a lot of that, and I think it's all done quite well. Plot. I think that the plot moves along at a fairly solid pace. I think that it's a very flowing story. It's one thing right to the next, and I think that's a good thing. I definitely think that there was enough plot twists to keep things interesting, but not so much that it got hard to keep track of, which kind of goes back to the flowing thing. Cons to this story, where there are some. Actually, I'm not going to do this just yet. Cons. I'm moving into cons right away, because I think that this story, I can't praise the story much or a whole lot. I cannot praise this story well a whole lot, but I can praise this story. Fucking bugs. But I can praise the story a little bit. But I will say, cons. It starts too fast. It's within the first chapter, you are literally in the combat already, and I dislike that. Oh my god, I love you all. And I dislike that. I think that there was no time for us to adjust. There was no time to really for us to get a feel for these characters, for his interpretation of the characters. And that's a very important thing, is getting a feel for the interpretation of these characters, because it's going to vary from person to person no matter what. So you couldn't get that feel that you wanted. And that was disappointing to me. I definitely wanted to feel who these characters were more before just going in and throwing them into harm's way. And I don't think that was handled well. Jesus. I think that another con to this story is probably the pairing. The main pairing to the story was RWBY and Ren. He said that. I think that there's one issue right off the bat. He said what the pairing was before he started to introduce it. After not having done it for after it not being included, like if it's in the thing, like RWBY X Ren. Yeah, I can understand that then, but it wasn't that. It was literally just, oh yeah, in the middle of a chapter, somebody asked what the pairings was going to be, so I'm going to tell you. I think that he should have held off a little bit. I don't think he should have announced what the pairing was going to be. I didn't actually like the way that it was gone about. I think that the pairing at first was a little bit harder to stomach because there weren't many RWBY Ren pairings. And at first it was a little bit harder to stomach in terms of believability, but it makes a lot of sense, actually. The innocent Ruby Rose, the innocent, sweet, and energetic Ruby Rose with Ren, it works in a lot of the same ways that Ren and Nora does. Con to this story. But the con to that is the fact that it was not handled well. It was not handled properly, and there was way too much going out of the way to make this happen. Another con to this story is probably the way that Professor Ozpin was handled in the story. And it's going to seem very strange, but at the very end, Ozpin got he got some love. He got some scenes. It was too much. Way too much. It was overdone, and it was heavy-handed beyond belief to me. Some people might disagree. I know for sure that there were a couple of people that actually really thoroughly I really enjoyed the ending scene, but I didn't like it. And the way that this story was explained to me was that it's very well done from the standpoint of there's a major character loss initially, and it's handled and it carries throughout the whole story. That was the way that the story was presented to me. And I want to tell you that's actually not really all that true. The major character loss, spoiler, I'm not even going to bother with spoiler alert because this happens like 20 seconds, is Professor Port, is Peter Port. And I don't qualify that as a major character loss. It's not a major character loss. And I'm intrigued, though. I will say I'm intrigued to see how book 2, because it is out, and I'm actually waiting to read this because I really liked binge reading all of it after it was done. So I'm actually going to wait until book 2 finishes. So hurry the fuck up if you want my opinions on it before I start reading it. But I definitely think that book 1, it kind of suffered a little bit from the fact that there wasn't really any time initially to care about these characters a whole lot. I think that's like the biggest hurting point for it, was how fast this guy Kentethalion jumped into everything, and I was kind of I was really disappointed in that, because when things happen that fast, I can't really care about these characters. And while I can care about them from the standpoint of I know who RWBY, Team RWBY is and Team Juniper is, I can't really like bring myself to a point like, oh man, I really, if this character dies, I'm going to be really broken up about it. Like, I can't actually do that because I won't be. I just know that I won't be. So that's going to conclude my talk about this. I would say the story is probably 7.5. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed reading it, but there were a lot of issues to this story in terms of making you care about characters, and I think that the plot accelerated too fast in a lot of areas. Fucking shit. And the plot accelerated too fast in some of the areas. So I'd say that overall, I would give it 7.5 out of 10. Enjoyable read. By no means necessary is it one of the best stories out there, but I'd say it's a very enjoyable read. and I definitely would say that it's worthwhile to read. Binge read part 1. And that's going to conclude the Strong Start episode. Those are the 3 stories that I talked about. Ruin book, and my recommendation of the video is Snowy Vale. I definitely think that all of you should check out all of these stories as always. And signing out.
Honey, we have to leave in like 5 minutes.
All right. And so that's all right. My apologies. So, recommendation of the video goes to Snowy Vale, and tune in next Wednesday. Remember, it's going to be at a new time for part 2 of this series. Tune in on Friday for my Outlast series. Tune in on next Monday for Mix It Up Monday, and tune in tomorrow where I'll be doing a live stream on Twitch as well. The link will be in the description. So, if you have any questions, you may ask them there. Bye.